and welcome to the WHYcast, episode 25. I'm Nancy,
I'm Robert.
And I'm Matt.
and we are the hosts of the only podcast about a hacker camp in the universe. This volunteer-run event will take place this year in the Netherlands, approximately 42 kilometers north of Amsterdam, from August 8 to 12, 2025. So, Ad, what are we talking about today?
Well, like every week, we will be talking about the news, where to hack. We have an interview with Robert, who is already present here.
Welcome in the show!
We also have another cool video sent in by Dimitri. And we have some listener questions. And of course, we have the vacancy of the week. But first,
we have a guest.
Hi.
Hi. Can you tell a little bit about yourself? We will do the interview later, but maybe it's interesting to already explain a little bit on who you are.
So my name is Robert, number 3 as well, also known as number 3. I'm currently helping in Team Info, but I'm also a board member of IFCAT. And I've been at these events for over 20 years now, so I'm really looking forward to the next event. Helping out.
You're a veteran hacker.
I've been there a while.
And he still looks like 25.
He does.
Thank you.
Looks so great, especially in this light. Okay. Well, we will talk again later in the show, and we will talk a little bit about the news for now. One of the things that I would like to tell everybody is that the April 5th will be the field day. So that's an orga meet that will take place on the field. There is a place nearby called Manege Beukers. Information is on the wiki. If you click in the left side in the menu on field day, you will find where it is. So there is a place to sit and discuss things if you want to with your team, but also you have the possibility to go on the field and look at what's going on over there. It won't have a sleepover. That was the case last time, but this time it's just an afternoon. There will be lunch, there will be dinner, and please sign up for that because otherwise we cannot feed you. So yeah, and I know our friend from the UK, Simon, will be there. It's his birthday. I hope he's not listening. But there will be cake.
Oh.
The cake is not a lie.
Yet again.
Yet again.
Last in-person meet we had cake, and now next one as well. Cool. But do sign up on the wiki. A link will be in the show notes down below.
Right. Can you tell a little bit about merch sales? Because you had contact with Netsmurf, I think.
I did. Merch sales are steadily rising. So they're still going, and they will be going for a bit longer. At least until the end of April. But somewhere the beginning of May, maybe halfway May, they will have to close down the merch in the shop, because at some point we have to actually order, and we also need to take into account the capacity of the supplier.
It has to be produced, and that takes time.
Yep.
So there will be a deadline for ordering merch. So if you want merch, go to the website, tickets.WHY2025.org, order your merch there. You can find everything there, and there are labels for sizes and measurements and things like that on the wiki as well. Cool.
And do note that it is pickup only at the event, so you need to have a ticket to be on the event, and then you can pick up your merch.
Very useful addition. Thank you very much. It won't be sent to you. So you have to pick it up. Thank you. Also, I have been talking with team sponsors on the last physical orga meet at Hack 42. And this team needs a little bit of love, or not, the team doesn't need a little bit of love. They need
they all need
sponsors.
Love.
Everybody needs love.
All people need love.
we still need a couple of sponsors, and sponsoring is quite interesting to explain to companies that have never sponsored or visited an event like ours. So they made a new sponsor brochure, or an explanation brochure for companies that are basically clueless on what type of event this is. Also, I'm working on together with subteam promo on making some carousels for the social media to explain a little bit more about what it means when you're a sponsor of Why, because it's not about recruitment, it's not about publicity, it's about fostering a community with money, and that's pretty different from any other event you can sponsor. I know. So, so team sponsoring has been working very hard to explain this a little bit better. And also, I know there are some new sponsors in. I don't know them on the top of my head right now, but so it is actually going quite well, but we still need a couple of more sponsors to cover all the costs. So
we'll put the link in the show notes. So if you think my boss should really do this, then go to your boss, show him the folder,
Yep.
And tell him I want to go here because these are my friends, these are my people, and you got money.
Yeah.
Help us build this community and help us have a good time.
And by that,
happy employees means a happy employer.
Absolutely. Also, I might add that this extra money can be used for people who request a friend's ticket, which is a ticket for people who are lower on funds. From what we've seen, I'm also going to make a blog post probably with team info as well about the balance between the generous nerds. So these are the people that pay more to make it possible for the friends tickets to be funded. And from what we've seen from our head of finance, who doesn't want to come on the show because he's too shy. That's not true, but this is not his thing, which is fine. We love you anyways, Henry. But I think it's very nice to see that it's really levels out. So it's good to see that the people say, okay, my boss is paying for the ticket anyway. Let's go for a corporate ticket. So we have extra funds to pay for friends. That's awesome to see. And that's
cool.
Also one of the core things of this community, I think, looking out for each other as well and having a great time.
Yeah. For example, having a great time listening to talks.
Yes.
Or participating in workshops. Have you sent in your CFP?
No-ish. Because it might be possible that Crystal already sent something in where I'm a part of. So I will have to check that. Guilty as charged. But I know they are coming in. I think we've surpassed the 70 mark now. I've spoken to some people at an event where I was last Friday, the Women in Cyber. And there were a lot of people there. Yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant. Should I do it or not? And luckily, I was there, and Daniela was there, and Pindakaas was there. So we were like, yes, please do so because we want to hear your voice. We want to hear your story. So hopefully more people are sending in, but we can still use more content for talks, workshops about anything tech related or.
I just spoke to Jos earlier today from Team Content, questioning my entry for the CFP. And the only
because you're not doing enough yet.
and the only response I got was, yeah, just hit the button. So just submit your CFP.
Please do so.
Jos told us to.
Yeah. And it's not only for yourself, but also for the volunteers on that end of the equation, because they have to go through all the proposals. And if it all comes at the 24th of May, they're not happy. So keep our volunteers at CFP, at Content Team happy as well. Cool.
Yep. So you already mentioned the cyber women.
Oh, it was very cool. Yeah, I think around 60, 70 people were there. It was organized by Lucinda, who makes a Dutch podcast. So sorry for the non-Dutch speaking audience.
English title, but it's a Dutch podcast.
Yeah, it's
called
a Dutch
All
podcast.
the Cyber Ladies.
Yeah, and there were very interesting and inspiring women there on the stage telling about it was basically around the theme of International Women's Day and having more diversity in tech. There were also a lot of male allies, so that was also amazing to see. Um, and it was very empowering and cool, and there were a lot of wide-minded people, and we handed out pink tiaras because everything, all the
It's a
cyber ladies
tiara.
is very pinkish. So
Uh-huh.
for the viewers, I will show my all the cyber ladies sticker. We also got a pin. It was really cool. I met a lot of new people. Also spoke to someone from ZCert who is going to have a village called Hack the Health. So that's health hacking.
Oh.
And she wants to be on the podcast as well. So
Ooh.
we will have an interview with her soon. So that's also very nice to have some extra points of view on
Nice.
all kinds of different things that are going on camp. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. And if I look at the list, you are traveling everywhere because now I see Sweden on there as well.
Yeah, sometimes I do international speaker gigs. This is what my LinkedIn page said. So I'm an international speaker. So sometimes I go abroad. And in April 7th till April 9th, I will be in Sweden. Uh, and I'm going to butcher this name. I'm sorry for if we have any Swedish listeners. I will I will land in Stockholm, but then I will go to Örebro. And I'm probably butchering this. I'm sorry. I will put it in the show notes. So if you're Swedish, you can pronounce it correctly. But I'm
Well,
there.
well,
I have
well.
seen maker spaces there as well in Stockholm as well as in Örebro. It's in a university, so I can also put some posters up there.
Posters and
But
stickers. Yeah.
posters and stickers.
And
If there are
if
any
any,
Swedish people,
yeah, and if they are offended by your pronunciation, let them try Geestmerambacht.
true. That's true. Fair.
But
So
that seems like a place where you can hack, and we got a couple of more of those.
each week we will share where you can find why-minded people, where to hack. So this one is a little bit last minute because it's like this weekend. But I know at least someone from Team Waste, Bastius, and Bookworm will be in Berlin this weekend at an event called Hackerday. And
Hackaday Europe
or it's
specifically.
Hackaday Europe specifically. Yeah. And if you go to their website, you can see that Bookworm is giving a presentation about the history, future, and importance of Dutch hacker camps. She has had some posters from Robert last weekend, so she will bring posters, stickers, and I also gave her buttons. So if you want to have some why merch or want to find out more about why, just look up Crystal in the program, Boekenwurm, and you can have a chat with her this weekend. So I think that's awesome. Good luck.
Yes, and last week we already mentioned the annual Open Hackerspaces Day in the Netherlands and internationally even now. Please reach out to your local hackerspaces and see what they're up to on the 29th. So that's in 2 weeks. If you don't know if there is a hackerspace near you, you can always check hackerspaces.nl for more details for the hackerspaces in the Netherlands. And if you Google around, there are probably similar sites for all the countries in Europe and abroad, but I don't know them all. But we do have someone who knows a lot more about hackerspaces and how it all started.
Yeah, because I well, maybe you can tell the story. What happened, Robert? How did you get here?
How did I get here? Well, you asked me a question.
I do that sometimes.
So I think it was in was it in BitLayer? I don't remember. Was it a physical meet when you said, you know what? Can you dive into the simple question, where did Dutch hacker camps come from?
I think that was BitLayer.
Well,
that
not
was
hacker
BitLayer, right?
camps, but hacker spaces.
Hacker spaces, yeah. Sorry, hacker spaces. And together with Jim, my son, we spent some time on the weekend to find out that the truth about it. Well, as far as we could come up with. So we've seen lots of stuff. We looked into it, and I even reached out to several people to find out the truth, whatever that means. Because it sounds like a simple question, but it's really not. So um, yeah, you thought I was like you can just in 2009 something happened. Could you just explain where did all those hacker spaces come from? So
Well,
if
the
we
thing
go,
was, it was just a lot of time for me and
yeah,
Odd to
no, that's fine.
make history lessons, and you
Yeah,
also asked, "Oh, can I help with something?" Well, I said, "You're a history nut. You have
yeah,
all
I
the
love it.
books. You love it. So this is really a passion of yours. You have all the
Yep,
books and the 2600 magazines and the hectics
yep.
and whatever more. So you are the person to ask. Can you please tell a little bit more about the history of hackerspaces?
Yeah, and it was good that you asked because we ended up finding out a lot more than we thought we could find out. So let's why go back in time?
Yes.
Each episode will be diving into a piece of history, something special from the predecessors of WHY2025. So that could be from the Galactic Hacker Party from 1989, Hackers at the End of the Universe from 93, Hacking in Progress 97, Hackers at Large 2001, What the Hack 2005, Hacking at Random 2009, Observe Hack Make 2013, Still Hacking Anyways 2017, May Contain Hackers from 2021, no, COVID happened, so that became May Contain Hackers 2022. And this week we will be taking a look at
So let's define the hacker spaces, the modern hacker spaces where we have the spaces where people share the key and come into the hacker space and have a place to hang out and create stuff together. That has been there's a history around it, of course. So if we go back to in the Netherlands, there's this hacker space explosion, and that had actually happened in around 2009, and it kind of coincides with HAR 2009 as well. But if we go back, so you asked the question, well, and what does it have to do with hackers on a plane?
Mhm.
Well, that,
Yeah,
that
that,
and
that
that
was one of the because that was a story I'd heard that
yeah.
the hackers on the plane were sort of like the start of it all.
So I actually talked to Mitch Altman, who was part of Hack on Plane. Actually, it was initiated by Nick Farr, uh, and he gathered together a lot of people back then to come to the summer camp of CCC in 2007, where they actually visited Seabase and Meta and Meta Lab in Austria, Seabase in Germany, to come up with ideas on how hackerspaces should look like. So actually, when I talked to Mitch, he actually said, you know what? Looking back, it was Nick that was creating and seeding all the spaces. Now, in that time, 2007, that was before around the time where hackerspace.org actually started up as well. So the website where you could report in and put out your hackerspace. So if there's multiple documents that we found now where people look back at that time frame and say, oh, there were 70, there were 100 hackerspaces worldwide. Well, actually, that came about because they started that website where you could report your hackerspace in. And at the same time, in 2000, so in the winter edition of CCC Communication Congress, they had from, and I forget, one of the CCC locations, they had a presentation, and it was the let me think, the Cologne hackers that actually came up with this, and they did a presentation. They presented the hackerspace's design patterns. If you go back to I think it's
Ah.
26C3, you can actually go and watch the content still, of course, and they explain what the different design patterns were. But it all came about the summer before, where they had a lot of discussions and started visiting the different locations from the US. So Hacker on a Plane, yeah, there's some linkage there because the hackers.org actually it stimulated the visibility and people would know about it. And then Hacker Spaces Design Patterns actually put it on the table on how can you do a hackerspace and what are the different patterns that work or anti-patterns, how to resolve conflicts, how to actually do stuff. And then in 2008, actually Noisebridge finally actually started. So that's the hackerspace that Mitch Altman was the founder of. So that's the time frame then. But is there a direct link? No, not really. Mitch said,
Okay.
I asked him flat out, is there a direct link? No, I was there, but on the hard 2009 in the summer, there was a lot of interest. There was a lot of like going on, even on the camp. And then I have the booklet here. The booklet actually still has the program. You can't see it right now.
It's a bit blurry, but
Yeah, it's a
the
blurry.
listeners can't see it anyway.
Yeah, and then on Sunday, the last day, just before the final talks, they had a talk or a discussion. The content is still exists. It's called Hackerspaces Everywhere, and it's actually Esther Sneewijs and Mitch Altman is on stage. And the funny thing, if you go and watch that, they discuss what the use of hackerspaces are, and they actually did this presentation like you are doing it now with the meaning of hacker camps, past and present and future. They did hacker spaces everywhere at all kinds of different locations. And they would have a discussion what the meaning of a hackerspace was and what it looks like. And coming away from HAR, a lot of people actually clearly were inspired on taking initiative. So so then I talked to Aldert at Hacker Hotel recently.
Yeah.
And he was one of the he was the chair back then of HXX, right? Of the foundation before IFCAT. And I asked him, well, do you know why that big explosion, where that came from? And he's like, well, yeah, we kind of did something. And I said, well, what did you do? Because I already knew from diving into the Internet Archive that you can actually trace back about 6 of the hackerspace in the Netherlands are related to HAR or around that time. Like RefSpace is one of the first that was actually started. Just if you look at the dates, it's around the same time that HAR was, maybe a little before. They were already talking about it, but they actually started it. Then Hack42, Tucker Lab, XSpace, BitLayer, and Random Data all came about in the years after, all between 2009 to and starting 2010 or 2011. Some had their space a little later. But the question I put to Aldert is, because I've on lots of the wikis, I love wikis, especially of hackerspaces, because you can find out the minutes of the first meetings. Yeah. And it turns out a lot of the spaces got funded, so they could get their notary cost. And like the Utrecht space, so Random Data, they got literally a toilet for the space, paid by HXX, because similar to what we do at IFCAT now, where we do donations to people, to hackerspaces or projects that need that, they did that with HAR because there was a budget.
Leftover money.
Leftover money.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we'll give it back. We'll find projects to actually do it. And that's how a lot of the hacker spaces got kickstarted, basically. So they got good donations, and it would stimulate that. So to your simple question, there's no simple answer.
And it's never one thing, right? It's like all these things coming together from what I hear from your story.
Yeah.
That it comes from separate. Also, we interviewed Mitch Altman for the WHYcast as well. I think that's one of the earlier episodes, around 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So we can link that as well.
It's not a single thing, like you said, because even before we talk about the modern hackerspaces that we all know now. I mean, there's TD Venlo, which has a history of being in a youth club and actually decided at one point in time to become more of a modern hackerspace. So they evolved into it.
Yeah.
And so there's during the if you even go back in that same time frame in the 90s, there were when Hectic was around. They were in a part of the squatting movement, the krakersbeweging in Amsterdam. And you had something called the Internet Vrijplaats, which was basically a hackerspace. Because if you go and watch some of the documentaries around that time, then you can actually see they set up a room in a krakerspand, and they actually had computers, and they talk about giving access for everyone to the internet.
Yeah.
And so it was very similar, but they never had like the same concept where everyone had a key because it was just an open space. They didn't have a fixed location. Well, some hackerspace, of course, still struggle to find a fixed location. They move around sometimes. But if you and that kind of lost its momentum in like 2014. So that died out, the Internet Vrijplaats.
Yeah.
So I think really it's more complicated than just one person or one initiative, but there's a clear moment in time around 2009 where everything was like the stars were aligned, people were talking about it, people inspired each other, and then the hackerspaces, everything talk. If you go and watch that from Har, and then talk to Aldert, hey, but how did it happen? And it turns out they had money left over so they could fund people. And I think that's where a lot of the community initiatives then came from, and later on.
And it also shows that still until today, the hackerspaces and the hacker camps are so closely intertwined.
Yep.
Yeah. So awesome to see.
There is a reason that all the in-person Orga meets, except from the field days, are at hackerspaces.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So do you have more questions for the future?
I have a question, another question for you about something else.
Oh my God.
Because I can imagine that all the information you gave, we can make the show notes, which will be a hell of a job because you are talking about a lot of different things and events and hackerspaces. But I know someone who put some work in to transcribe our podcast and then turn it into a blog.
Yeah, I magically did that.
Can you tell a little bit about that? Because I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so Art and I a while back got talking about how great it would be to have all these podcasts transcribed and then create a blog post so people can not just listen or watch it, but can also read what was being said. And I think also it's good to have this mode of communication as well. So I set about on a little journey. It's sometimes called rabbit holes.
Another rabbit hole, yeah.
So when I was done researching, and it was fun because I was playing around with Whisper, and I know a lot of people probably played around with that already, but Whisper is really a great model to do audio to text transcribing. So I played around with that. I got a small thingy working, but I hate small thingies working. So I created. I started with that, with a little thingy, and then I started playing around with AI as well, and it grew, but it grew really fast. So last Wednesday I started doing it, and in an hour and a half I created with Copilot on GitHub. I have a pro account for myself, and I hadn't played it for a while, and I was just shocked. In an hour and a half, you could just build your program out of it. So with a little pair programming and trying and testing and playing around, it's just this weekend I transcribed all of them. I created all kinds of blogs, and we now just need to upload them to WordPress and start posting them. So, and that's going to be something we can start doing from now on. So
I think it's just so cool that you did that, and also I saw someone writing in one of the signal groups that we have around different teams, like sometimes you just come up with an idea and then someone else picks
Yeah.
it up and makes something cool. We came up, Otte, myself, and Chantal, of course, with the WHYcast, and now you are doing this with that. I think that's building on each other's ideas, right? I
Yeah.
think it's really amazing, and I'm really happy that you put the time and effort into to do so, because I
Thank
know
you.
that some people might not like listening to me or us, or I just want to read
They
it.
love reading a blog. What happened? I think
Yep.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also had like a short a summary version of it as well, right? Like the
So we have three.
TLDR version. Yeah.
We're not sure what we should publish, but we have 3 versions. So from the actual transcription, it gets a cleaned up transcription, because as humans we use these words like and a and stuff like that, like filler words. So we
Yep.
clean it up. I clean it up using a prompt, and then we put it through a summary. So you get a summary of all the topics and an introduction and a closing, and then from that it writes the blog post, which is a little more in a hopefully more conversational style. So, but
More
less
storytelling.
like yeah, it's more storytelling hopefully. So.
Yep.
And also this picking up a task because you think it's a good thing to pick it up. It has a word, and that's a word that Robert taught me.
Yep.
Duocracy.
A duocracy. Oh, you never heard
it's
that?
One of the, yeah, it's a one.
Okay.
It's actually part of the design patterns, Nancy.
Yep.
So the duocracy is one of the design patterns for hackerspaces, where people that pick up the task are the leaders, and they should just do, and also make sure that if someone else doesn't like it, then you talk about it, and then there's all the conflict patterns. But the duocracy, I think that's really a key part of our event, right? I mean, just do.
Yeah, I just didn't know there was a word for that, but yep.
Yep.
I did link in the show notes both the original design patterns as presented by Jens and Lars.
Jens and Lars, yeah.
Yeah, in December of 2007 at CCC. And also the design patterns 2.0 by Mitch, the talk from 2015.
Cool.
Good.
Very nice. Is there anything else that because that's usually a question I ask at the end of an interview, you like to add, you want to share, or want to tell people why they should go to Why?
So what I would love to say is if you've never been to this, just try it, because you'll find your space. There's so many different things to do. And I remember going back 20 years, going the first time to What the Hack, that was like coming home to me. I think, and that's what I found out lately when doing research and talking to more people, it's also about just community, but also finding your place and finding your thing, and it changes over time, and you can be a part of it. And I never expected to be doing this right now, but we're doing it. And I think that's one of the things, just do it.
Trust me, and having a podcast was on my beep it list for a very, very long time. But
done it. 25 right now.
25 already, 26 if you really are counting. But
0 doesn't count.
We started 0, definitely.
Oh, of course we started 0. Duh.
Yes.
And you also are a part of a village that has been around for a couple of editions as well, right?
Well, the same amount of time actually. So with my friends from work, we started 20 years ago. So, and we had an army tent that we rented, and we were at What the Hack, and we became Dutch Picnic. So over time, we're now a village, and we're limiting it to 50 people right now, because we want to be a fun place to sit around the camp at night and talk about what we saw and what we did, and do the CTF at night. And so that we'll be doing that as well this year. We'll be there.
I saw that you're already one of 60 registered villages on the wiki, so that's awesome.
Cool.
Very good.
And then we can sit there together and watch the firewall.
The firewall.
The firewall. Yes.
Do we have fire?
Yes. Earlier this week, I suddenly saw a new signal group appearing on my phone. I was like, what is this? This was all late at night. I was asleep. So next morning, I woke up. What is this? This is a whole conversation. And then suddenly, oh, there's a little video clip in there. What is this? And there was a prototype. And then there was another video. That looks very similar. And there's some pictures, and then there's another video. And like, why are there so many?
A lot of
Well,
failure as well.
I stuck some of the videos together, and let's play that clip right now.
Okay, first test of the new flamethrower. I put in some liquid. As you can see, the tube is still clear, so I hope if I turn it on and prime the machine that you can see the fluid come in here and then through the pump system and whatever. But let's first see if I turn it on. If I turn this on, then the light should come on here, this green light, that it receives DMX. Well, it's receiving DMX, so this is the safety channel. Turn it on. And now if I turn on channel 6, it's the pump, then we should hear the pump run and see some fluid go in through the tube. Yep, it's going, it's priming the pump now. And I have a leak. Okay, attempt number 2 for the new flamethrower. I changed some tubes here because I had a huge leak here, as you could probably see in the first video, the blooper video. So, DMX controller, flamethrower machine. If I turn it on, it starts up. It's the device and DMX info. The pressure is 0 bars. There's no pressure on the system now. So the first thing to do is turn on the DMX controller, and then this green LED should light up. So it's lighting up, that means it's receiving DMX. First I put the safety channel up. There it is, so the safety channel is activated. Now I will activate the pump. It resulted in a huge leak a few minutes ago. Then it was leaking from here. I changed the coupling. I should expect fluid being sucked from the jerry can through this tube into the pump over there, and then from the pump through this expansion vessel in the one-way valve. I should go here and pressurize this whole part until there, up to 10 bars or something around that. If it's leaking, I have to terminate the test. So here we go. I turn on channel 6. Let's see if fluid is pumping. Yep, fluid is pumping. No leaks at this moment. It used to be very, very wet here. As you can see, it's all fluid now. The pump stops, so it should be pressurized. Now it's giving an error that it cannot get up to pressure. That means the first time there's air in the system. So you have to do it a few times to prime the system. Once it's primed, there's no air in the system, it will get up to 10 bars. So probably have to do it 2 or 3 times. So I do this. Start it up again. It's receiving DMX. See, it's a safety feature, so you cannot restart it and it immediately goes on again. So first you need to put the safety down, pressure down, putting the safety up again. It's here, and let the pump run. You see the pressure building up. It needs to get up to 10 bar. If it can't reach 10 bar, it gives an error. So turn it off again. Turn it on. What you hear is the fluid going back into the jerry can. You hear it as a safety measure. There's an extra valve. Listen, you will see the fluid go back. If you turn it on, it always removes it. So it's a bit of a game to pressurize it for the first time. While I was sitting here and getting the error, which normally means you have to do it 2 or 3 times, it can't get up to pressure. Of course, that is also a safeguard when there is a leak. And, as you can see, fluid is dripping. So it's leaking again. So I have to find where it's leaking. It seems to be leaking here. The same coupling again. So I need more PTFE tape. As you can see, this is all PTFE tape. There is no leakage. In here I have some leakage. See, as you can see. So you see that's the safeguard of the system when there is a leak. So finally I plug this hole, that hole. So I need to go all the couplings and make better connections. I normally use hydraulic sealant. So then it's really like a kit, like a glue, and I put it in between. But I also tried the PTFE tape. So we'll have to fix this one, and then we get it up to speed. As a trick to trick the system, I removed the plug of the return valve to keep the system pressurized, and I saw immediately that the pressure was dropping. So that was an indication something was wrong. So I will fix these leaks and get back to you for try number 3.
5 hours later.
And finally, 11:45, we have a flame unit. So I have all leaks fixed now. This is my house. It's 8 meters and 40 centimeters high. There's the flamer. In 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, it's working in pitch black. Well, pitch black, but at least not the big light. 3, 2, 1, go.
So if you were now just listening to all these sounds, it might be a bit confusing. We've said it before, but this time really you should watch this bit on YouTube, because this video is really worth looking up.
But we can make a short out of it as well. So you don't have to go to the excruciating pain of watching us for half an hour.
Now you can just skip to this bit if you already listened to the whole podcast.
True.
But this 6-minute video with the flamethrower is really, really cool. And I also already heard from Dimitri that the next iteration of the prototype will have some copper pipes and different type of couplings, which might prevent a lot of the leaks. And if there is another update, then we'll definitely get some videos again, and we'll share them in the next podcast.
Yep, let's do that.
Yes, and with that, we're almost at the end. We're at the vacancy of the week.
And the listener.
Vacancy of the month, vacancy of the year. Because we still haven't got the team lead yet.
It has been rebranded to coordinator.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not looking for a team lead. We're looking for a coordinator.
Coordinator, because it might seem less intimidating, because team lead sounds a little bit like we need a leader, but it's more about the coordinating stuff around the parking, and it's very handy, or actually very needed, if you're Dutch, because of legislation and Dutch things. Gonma is there. She knows all about everything. So she's there to help you. So it's not like you're there on your own. You have a lot of help, but she really needs some boots on the ground to coordinate things around the parking stuff. So it's a little bit of rephrasing from team leads to team coordinator.
Yep.
So it's sort of a new one now.
Sort of a new one. Okay. Well, vacancy of the week. Coordinator parking. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Reach out to Team Parking. All their information is on the wiki, and we'll link to their wiki in the show notes down below.
Have you checked the mailbox for any listener questions?
I have checked the mailbox, and I got a ticket in, and we already kind of mentioned that earlier on during the news segment.
Mm-hmm.
That there was a ticket asking, okay, I am not ready quite yet to pre-order the merch, but I don't want to miss it. So if you order before the end of April, you'll be fine.
Yep.
If you order beginning of May, it might get close.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if we have an end date for the merge, we will definitely tell you here in the WHYcast. We will tell you on all the social medias, and the news will be spread through all the channels.
Yes.
Yes.
And while you're there and you haven't grabbed your tickets yet, that's the same shop. You can buy a ticket there. We have 939 tickets left at the day of recording this.
Okay. Yes. And with that, I think we're at the end of the show. Robert, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
It's been great fun. Thank you all very much for listening and for watching. And if you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback, leave it down below in the doobly-doo, or send us an email at whycast@why2025.org. Press all the share and like buttons, because that's good for the algorithm. And I hope to see you next Friday.
WHYday.